Hi there, Gemini. Welcome to your end of August 2025 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here. I haven't been doing that with this series of readings, but I do want to call attention to my second channel, which is called Tarot Alchemy with Raina Moon. And I'm going to be focused on love readings with that channel, but there could very well be some other types of readings. I've been kind of thinking about it that I do, and maybe even other types of videos. So check that out if you're interested, and we'll see here what is going on for the end of this year. I just got that card for Aries, but it was reversed. Okay, I'm going to pick an additional card. Okay. There are certain cards I won't, and even like a reverse card, if it's something that I read reverse cards, but I don't end readings with them too often, I would say. So I pick additional cards if that happens. Okay. The heart of the matter is the World card, which is the last card of the Major Arcana, and it really speaks to the closing of a chapter in your life. The Major Arcana cards are the cards of, important developments versus the Minor Arcana are day-to-day matters that are kind of, more typical things, not necessarily noteworthy. So, you kind of sit up and take notice when you get the World card or any other type of Major Arcana card. But yeah, this is the last card, and it can deal with closure, end of an era, something along those lines. For some people, this could be like long distance travel. There's actually another card that connects to that, but it is reversed in that case. Let me just keep going and we'll see what the significance is. In the past position, another Major Arcana card, the Devil card. So the Devil card is connected to the sign of Capricorn, and its ruler Saturn. Satan and Saturn are pretty similar. And it deals with an attachment to lust or material matters. It could be excessive greed that the person is, involved with, that is probably inhibiting their ability to move forward with something. So, for instance, if a relationship has run its course, which the World card would represent, but that person has a hard time walking away from that relationship, let's say it's a marriage, because they have this physical chemistry that even if they don't get along, or they argue constantly, fight like cats and dogs, as they say, they still have that physical chemistry, and that keeps them together. Or the lifestyle that you're leading by being connected to that person is so much better than it would be if you were alone. The higher message is the Daughter of Cups, which is the Page of Cups in a lot of other decks. And it is a card of one of the possible interpretations that I think is probably most relevant is the idea of being naive about a situation. So you may be telling yourself that something is, you might be kind of like sugarcoating something that is actually much more serious than your understanding it is. But also it could be that this card is connected to children. So if this is a marriage and you have children and you have this relationship that isn't good, then think about the children. Like, how are the children faring? Are they doing well in that, situation, or have they been suffering? And sometimes what you can't do for yourself that you just normally wouldn't do, you can do for your children. Where you say, I don't want them to, suffer at all and have to witness the negativity between me and their other parent. But even if this is related to work matters or like a certain company you're working for, it might be that you're dealing with a narcissist. That's another thing too. The devil can be like a narcissistic personality, and that could include a boss, anybody in a position of authority. Malignant narcissists tend to gravitate towards positions of authority, or parents, their parents, and they because they want that power. And the Page of Cups would be saying, how are you being naive about this situation that is to your detriment? What crosses you is the Fool card, which is actually the very first card of the Major Arcana. It's numbered 0. The World card, is 21. So there are 22 cards altogether. So you can't make that fresh start until you resolve whatever the World card represents to you fully. That's just the bottom line. What's coming in is the Five of Wands. This is a card of, conflict. You may be pushing for something and meeting resistance in the form of conflict, maybe not just from one person, maybe it's from multiple people. So if this is, for instance, related to your workplace, there may be, if you turn in your resignation, it may not be met with just complete agreement or acceptance. They might push back and say, well, you can't leave us right now. We're in the middle of our busiest season, or you know how people can act. And there might be a part of you that is maybe a little bit tempted to stay because you don't want to be somebody who puts others in a state of inconvenience. You don't want to inconvenience them. I'm sure there are some who will not care, if somebody says something like that. But there might be some Gemini people who feel a little bit guilty. The outcome, I'm holding it upright, is the Son of Cups, which is the Knight of Cups, but it's reversed. So it is, to me, speaking of a manipulative person. They might even have an alcohol problem or some other problem with depressants, where they are trying to numb themselves because they're emotionally unstable, distraught about something. And if this is somebody that you work for, or somebody that you have been dating or that you have been in a relationship with, this person may try and use manipulative tactics to get what they want. They are very, I would say, I almost see that kind of person as like a covert narcissist, because the covert narc is the person who is always like has this learned helplessness, this wanting to be rescued. And sometimes, certain people, that's almost irresistible to them. They want to feel needed. They want to feel like they can, solve all the problems of somebody else. And that's something to really pay attention to, because it could, complicate your life in the process. So it was funny because I picked an additional card and I kept getting these reverse cards. The first one is the Three of Wands reversed. In the upright position, of course, you would never understand anything based on this illustration, but in the upright position, the Three of Wands is about expansion, expanding your territory, expanding your life, not playing small. But it can be in terms of literal territory, literal land, where you are wanting to kind of roam and frolic in wider pastures, or whatever, whatever the phrase goes. When it's reversed, there is some like resistance to expansion, to self-growth. And so that may be why you are in a position where you're afraid to move forward, which the Fool card represents. You're afraid of like that new thing that you might be completely unfamiliar with, but that is, calling to you. It might be like living somewhere you've never lived before, on the other side of the country, in another country altogether, but something is holding you back. The next card I got is the Star card, but it's reversed. The Star card is about faith and unseen forces. When this card is reversed, a person may be resistant to make changes, step out on faith. They may feel like they need some kind of proof that everything's going to be okay before they make that leap. And so I picked yet another card, and I got the Ace of Swords. Your swords, the air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, are all swords. And aces are initiations, they're beginnings. So the Ace of Swords is a card, because swords are about communication, including our thought forms, our, how we're thinking. This is a card of the clarification of thought, which means that maybe you had confusion, and this sword of truth is cutting through all the illusion and confusion. And it's helping you so that you can move forward, so that you are able to do what you came here to do at this point in your life. And it might even be a timing card. So the next new moon, which I feel would correspond with aces, would be in the middle of October in Libra. And that might be a time when you feel that you have the mental clarity to be able to push forward on something. Okay, that's what I have for you, Gemini. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, I have all kinds of readings. You can click on the link below for more information. Take care. Bye.